This is the SFL Minor League Consolation Final here in Nashville, Tennessee, in Music City, where the consolation prize for these two teams is a date with destiny in the Windy City to face the undefeated Chicago Warriors. Which one of these two teams will stand tall here? Will it be the on-the-road Pittsburgh Riverhogs, or will it be at home the newly defeated Nashville Tempo? Good evening, everyone from Nashville. I am Brett Solberg, along with my broadcast partner Cameron Duty. We've got ourselves a heated matchup between two teams that can be red hot on both sides of the field. But Cameron, what is going to be the key for both these teams here tonight to get to Chicago just in a few days?
Brett, it's good to be with you, and if I'm going to be honest, I have a feeling that today could be an offensive, a very offensive-heavy game. Now, I could be wrong on that, but when you have someone for Pittsburgh such as Timothy Mawson King, who has done so well this year, as well as Hendricks for Nashville, who again has just lit it up. The talent is there. I think that they have been such a pivotal force for both of their teams. I think their quarterbacks are going to look to them early and often. We will see a lot to talk about, but we should have a very exciting game on our hands.
And both these quarterbacks have been red hot over these playoffs here, and Nashville will get the first touch of the football here as it's kicked off, and it is going to be a touchback at the 20-yard line, and we're going to see the company of Switch Thumper at quarterback alongside that dual running back threat of Stanley Younger and Ace Ketchum. What do you see early on in this offense? What's the key?
I think the key is, with what we've seen in the past, is they start, as you said, with that dual tandem, kind of get Ace in a rhythm that then will open up the passing lanes. I expect to see more of that today.
Two running back set, and they do toss it off to Ketchum. He's got loads of space on the right side to get a quick first down for Nashville. And let's quickly talk about this Nashville offense led by the Las Vegas quarterback in Switch Thumper. The running backs we talked about, halfback Case Ketchum and fullback Stanley Younger. The wide receiver trio set is Easton King, Kenny Hendricks, and Elliott Pope Jr. Dual tight end set of Cables McGill and Leon Sandcastle, and the offensive line is led by the lady down the middle in Dawn Johnson. Another 1st and 10 for Nashville. 3 receivers set. They go with a stretch run to the left side for Ketchum. Another great work of space from the offensive line to get Ketchum 8 yards, and that is going to set up 2nd and 2.
You know, that is one of the things that they are so good at, and when you have someone like Ace Ketchum in the backfield, such a talent, and we know what he's been able to do so far this entire season. 379 yards coming into today's game, and he's so explosive.
Yeah, and the explosion is met with the power run of Stanley Younger. And again, that offensive line doing great work to open up the space for Younger to get another 7 yards and another first down for Nashville.
And you make a very good point. You have the speed and agility with Ace, and then you can go right back to Stanley Younger, who has the power and the thunder. And it's such a kind of an old school approach. It reminds you of like the Emmitt Smith, Moose Johnston days back in the 90s, just kind of throwing some names out there. But that's what it reminds you of. They can get it done, and when you have that threat, man, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, very hard to stop. And there's the first passing attempt, and we will see a flag going off. It is caught by Easton King, and it looks to be pass interference. This will probably be negated otherwise because they still got the forward progression, but they will accept it for the first down here.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay and see, and you can see it's very handsy already. We expect a very physical game on the edges there on the outside. These wide receivers lining up against these backs here and these corners. It's going to be, as we said, it's going to be very physical because both teams have explosive wide receivers who, if you don't square up with them, they can burn you.
And talk about a December to remember for Switch Thumper. He's got 13 touchdowns in this month of December alone. As Nashville sets up on a 1st and 10, they hand it off to Stanley Younger again and again. Look at that wide open space that they're given. Stiff arms one guy and gets past the first down marker. And this run game has started red hot for this Tempo squad.
You talk about the offensive line led by Don Johnson, and take a look at that, literally lanes for days. I mean, he could take a pick of whether he wanted to go left, right, or center. Great work by that offensive line. And then when Younger gets into the open field with all of that brunt force, he's very hard to bring down. And as you said, so impressive for Nashville to come out here and just literally run the football down their throats right now.
Yeah, and both these teams are probably going to see a heavy dose of running because that is Chicago's MO. Another handoff, this time to one of the reserve halfbacks, is Askew. That's going to get 5 yards from Nashville, set up a 2nd and 2.
I think what's also really interesting to look at in this, Brett, is you know that the pass is coming as well. When they get to a point where they feel like maybe the ground game isn't advancing as they would hope, they have that in their back pocket. Switch Thumper and Kenny Hendricks, Elliott Pope Jr., we mentioned Cables McGill. People who are so good out there in the receiving slots, very dangerous, and you know it's coming eventually.
Over 900 yards of passing, over 85 attempts in the last 3 games for Switch Thumper as they hand it off to Ketchum. But this time, the defense in Pittsburgh is ready. RC Puff is going to get the tackle for the 2-yard loss.
Well, what a year that guy's had. We've called his name, had the pleasure of looking at many Pittsburgh games this year, and RC Puff is always somewhere in the vicinity, and it looks, if I'm not mistaken, 54 tackles on the season, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, big stats for a defensive player in the minor leagues. This Thumper gets one off, tries to get it to one of his main receivers. It looked to be McGill, and it was overthrown a little bit to the right, which leads to a 4th down and a kicking scenario for Takeda Yuki.
One of the most reliable kickers in the business right here for the SFLMs, and again, 37 yards right here. They'll put him to the test.
And 37 isn't a gimme, especially in the minor leagues, so Yuki has to be ready early on in this first quarter. Snap is good, kick is up, and it will curve in right to the middle. 3-0, early lead. Nashville strikes first.
Very good kick right there by Takeda Yuki, and the interesting thing about that is while it is great to put points on the board, I certainly don't want to negate that at all, but you have to give a call to this Pittsburgh defense, as we mentioned, RC Puff and others who came in and made the big stops when it mattered, because it looked for a brief moment like Nashville was going to easily run their way to the end zone for 6.
Yeah, it's really important to have a bend but don't break kind of defense, especially in the minor leagues, as Himothy Mossam King gets the return and sends it up to the 33-yard line. And Pittsburgh will now have their first opportunity, led by King Jackson, the 6'6 wonder, down the middle.
A talent indeed, and he has had such a great season, been pretty protective with the football there, and his chemistry with his receivers has just grown as this season has progressed.
Yeah, and that's big. When you can get that chemistry with your receivers, it leads to big games for both these men. It's going to be a fake handoff. Jackson going to sling the rock first, trying to get one of his receivers that looked to be tight end, Keith Wheeler. Let's quickly talk about that offense after that incompletion. We talked about King Jackson, the quarterback, their running back, number 27, BB Ballets. Their wide receiver trio consists of Eric Duncan, Xavier Knight, and Himothy Mossam King, also 6'6". Tight end sets look at Keith Wheeler and Jimmy Wint, and then their offensive line is led by Kiara Kilgannon and Trey Hyman. Toss play over to BB Bullets, and he will get himself a little extra yardage after getting hit and get 7 yards, opens up the playbook for 3rd down.
Yeah, BB Bullets, 152 carries so far this season, 630 yards, and he is the answer for this Pittsburgh ground game. He is, as we talked about for Nashville, he does the very same thing for Pittsburgh, very very agile.
And Bullets will get himself good space from the offensive line to push forward for the 1st down. It was a little bit of a quieter game in his last contest against Albuquerque, just 13 carries for 39 yards, but he did get a touchdown to help Pittsburgh get past the Adams in a tight 27-24 contest, and that is what they're going to need from Bullets. It's going to be those tight plays, and they're going to need scores out of him. 1st and 10, 2 receivers to the right, split back set. They're going to toss it off to another running back, but that defensive line for Nashville had that scouted and then some. Great work from the defense to lose 3 yards.
Yeah, a very good job, as you mentioned. They had complete confidence in where that run was going over to the right side, and they did just a great job of pursuit there to stop him behind the line.
They look to flip the play set here. They had 2 receivers on the left. Jackson is switched back, and he throws it right to Himothy Mossam King, where he can only grab it 6'6 to 6'6, and forget about those 3 lost yards. You got a 1st down there, Pittsburgh.
And that's the thing with him at the Mossum King, as we said, watching a lot of his games this season, he has that height advantage. And when you can do that, the phrase climb the ladder comes to mind. Obviously, that's something that with those two, King Jackson, two Mossum King, they're very good at putting that ball placement to where only the two of them can really play pitch and catch.
And despite the new age of new receivers coming out of the shorter end, size will still matter as the defensive line smothers King Jackson, and Nashville is going to get a sack on the board, the first one of the game.
Well, of course, they brought pressure, and it looked like he came around the corner there completely unguarded. Yeah, just a missed block there by the Pittsburgh offensive line. Just totally kind of lost assignment there, and that allowed the man in the backfield there for Nashville. So, yeah, that's going to set them back. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive they are here on second down.
Yeah, and they need to be aggressive on 2nd and 18. Jackson to step back on a 5-step, slings it down the middle and finds his receiver. Jimmy went the tight end, found right in the middle between the safeties and the linebackers to gain back those 18 yards.
We talked about the chemistry of these quarterbacks and wide receivers, and there is a good example of how it has gelled over time. For one, Jimmy went with a fantastic route running between the two defenders there. They gave him just enough cushion for King Jackson to find him right down the midfield there. So very interesting to see. They do not get rattled even when they have a negative play that they're coming off of.
Yeah, second straight action where they lose yards and then gain it back on second down as Jackson almost gets another target. Xavier Knight in and out of his hands as he gets hit, but you can tell that the confidence from King Jackson is there here in this first quarter.
They do. They have a swagger about them, and it's something that has grown as the season has progressed. A lot of confidence that they can air it out and put that football in places where he knows his receivers are going to be able to come up and make a play on it.
Yeah, and we have to remember, early on in this SFLm season, we questioned whether or not Pittsburgh could score points. You got to remember their first 2 weeks. They only had 21 points in their first 2 weeks. So it's great to see them get that development offensively. Jackson to step back on a quick throw right to Mossum King on the right side, over 2 defenders. And that shows the smarts of King Jackson arcing that ball over for a first down.
You mentioned the first couple of games of the season for Pittsburgh. I was fortunate enough to call the first game of the year between them and Bossier City, and that play right there that we just saw, that completion to him at the Mossum King, wasn't even in existence at that point in time. That's something, as we said, has developed as time has went on with a great maturity that has really made the SFL really kind of step up and take notice of just what's going on here in Pittsburgh.
1st and 10 here, as Pittsburgh is inside the red zone. Once again, Jackson to step back. They're going to toss the ball to the fullback, it looks to be, and he will power his way through for 4 yards. Nice job to, switch things up, change the field of vision for Nashville. 2nd and 6.
It was Keith Wheeler there on the carry, and he is someone that is listed at a tight end but can also very much carry the football. So really interesting how they utilize him in their lineup.
Going with a heavy line on 2nd and 6, and Nashville does bring the house, but there's plenty of space for BB Bullets on the stretch run, and he will get the first down, 1st and goal for Pittsburgh.
Really used that stretch run to their advantage there. They had Bullets going around the outside on the edge there, and what that did, it simply stretched the field, and those Nashville defenders were not able to keep up. He was able to get around the corner just in time to stick that ball past the sticks.
And now Pittsburgh 5 yards away from pay dirt. Can they deliver on this long drive? Now getting close to 5 minutes on it. Handoff to Bullets, and he will get a couple. The Nashville defense ready, but Bullets will get himself 3 yards for 2nd and goal.
They did a pretty good job there of meeting him head on. It looked like he was going to go in with a head of steam, and that's what they plan on doing right here, you would imagine anyway. Just the momentum he's getting off the snap. You expect him to try this again here so close to the goal line.
Lead in the box for Nashville as Bullets jumps his way through to the end zone, and if Nashville can score himself a field goal, then Pittsburgh will respond with a touchdown. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
Was so impressive. And, we saw them have the setbacks, the sack that dropped them 8 yards. They come right back with a super impressive passing game, and then you get down here to the goal line and you start to chip away with BB bullets, and then he does the rest at the end. They're leaping over the defenders. So impressive what Pittsburgh has been able to do, as we said, down the stretch, and again, looking impressive to start out today's game.
BB bullets looking like a flying bullet getting to the end zone as the snap is up and the extra point is good for Pittsburgh. And back-to-back scoring drives to start this game. 4.5-minute drive for Pittsburgh that got 7 points, and now Pittsburgh takes the lead.
What I think will be really interesting here, Brett, is how will Nashville respond? Will we see them continue the same trend, stick to that ground game as they were doing with Ace Ketchum and Stanley Younger? Also, a question that comes to mind, in my opinion, is, they got to have a little bit of doubt in their head, not able to punch it in on that last series. What are they going to have to do to get over that hurdle?
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot more switch thumper as the game progresses, because we're talking about a quarterback that has had back-to-back 300-yard games against Pittsburgh on the 11th, as well as Chicago on the 15th. Those are just 2 weeks ago, and you want to keep that hot hand as fresh and warm as possible. So I'd like to think that Thumper's going to get a lot more throws down the line, but they're going to start off with a toss play to Stanley Younger, and there's a lot of space on that toss, and Younger's going to get himself 9 yards.
A really nice run by the fullback Stanley Younger, and again, a good job coming downfield here by this defender for Pittsburgh, doing a really nice job of meeting him head on, because that's J.C. Wallace that was able to make that tackle.
And a nice block from Leon Sandcastle, the tight end, as well, to help Younger get those extra couple yards. Every yard will matter in close games, and we expect this to be a close game between two juggernaut teams. 2nd down and 1. They are going to try to squeeze Ace Ketchum down the left gap, and it does not work. Pittsburgh solved that really nice. Jubilee Marsh gets the tackle for, I would say, a half-yard loss.
Exactly. Jubilee Marsh coming in, completely snuffed that run out and was right there to stuff the line and as we said, push them back a little bit. So a big 3rd down already in this series.
Yeah, an early 3rd down as well for Nashville, and they got Younger behind. They will hand it off to him, and they give him the space to get the 1st down, just maybe give him an extra yard, but that is the guy you want to have, that power fullback in Stanley Younger, to get the 1st down.
Like a bulldozer, to be honest with you. I mean, that's what I think of when I see Stanley Younger run. It's just such a force behind the legs as he continues to churn along there.
6'4", 235 of lean ground pound machine as they hand it off again to him. Not as successful as his first try of 9. He only gets 3 out of it, but 3 yards is 3 yards nonetheless.
It is, and again, getting for them positive yardage. It's so important. You look at a run, you think, well, that's just 1 yard, just 2, just 3 yards. In a situation such as 2nd and 7, 3rd and 5, man, that really makes a big difference. It makes those type of plays much more manageable.
Yes, very manageable. If you can get those short down situations, you'll cherish them. Younger pushes aside one of the defenders, gets a 1st down, pushes another, and he continues moving down the sideline. Great run from Stanley Younger to get himself good 15, 16, 17 yards to get the 1st down for Nashville, and now they're starting to try.
I think the bulldozer should be this guy's nickname. I really do. That's the prime example of what a bulldozer does. Take a look at this one.
Boom.
Meets, I believe that was Puff. No, that was Jubilee Marsh. That made head on. Then look at the stiff arm, and again, staying in bounds as well. A big guy like that, tiptoeing along the sidelines. Super impressive, and really a great showing for Stanley Younger so far in this game.
Strong safety J.C. Wallace, the victim of that stiff arm from Younger, to get an extra 5 yards as the 1st quarter ticks down. And this might be the last play of the quarter, and it will be a quick throw and catch to Kenny Hendricks to end the quarter for a 1st down, which is going to set forward momentum for this tempo as the 1st quarter ends at a 7-3 deficit for Nashville.
We mentioned Kenny Hendricks, and when was he going to get him involved? And there you go. They really love that little inside slant. And it's quick, too. He's quick off the line, and that catches the defense off guard.
And 1 quarter in the books. Pittsburgh and Nashville have both scored in their drives, but the Riverhogs have struck first hard. It's 7-3 at the end of the 1st quarter. SFLm on YouTube. Welcome back to the 2nd quarter here in Nashville. Brett Sahlberg alongside camera Duty alongside me here, and Nashville has an opportunity to score back after Pittsburgh had a 4.5-minute drive to score their first 7 points. First and 10, they're going to shift a receiver to the right side. That's going to be Elliott Pope Jr. Still in that split back set. You never know if they're going to hand that off. It will be Thumper to step back, 5 steps, and it will be a crossing pattern to Hendricks once again, and he will push his way forward for a first down after 4 defenders trying to flock him down. He gets an extra 3-4 yards after the catch.
Yeah, now we're starting to see, Kenny Hendricks come into the picture here. And as I mentioned, before the final snap there, or we went into the transition to the second quarter, he is so good at those quick timed routes. And when Switch Thumper and him get on a groove like this, they're very tough to really reel in. So they're starting to utilize him, and he's very flexible in that nature.
And we're talking about Kenny Hendricks. How many multiple huge games as he had last game against Pittsburgh? 257 receiving yards. As again, they look to aim for Hendricks on the out route. He just can't get his hands on it. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, just a little off there. Of course, the timing not the best on that last play, but hey, you're going to have that. But yeah, you mentioned the good games that Kenny Hendricks has had down the series here, down the stretch. Again, so impressive, and that's why I feel like today, you got to keep a highlight on this guy. He is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, just listen to his last 5 games. 141, 238, 180, 257, and 157 as they look again, finds Hendricks one more time. And this is over multiple 10-plus reception games, and he almost always has a touchdown over his last 6 games. I'm looking at 13 touchdowns over the last 6 games.
It draws comparison to what Iniguez did as well during the season for, I believe it was Albuquerque, and just how much they utilize him. They use him all the time. He's a workhorse.
And Stanley Younger is telling us, hey, don't forget about me here. I had a trucking play earlier as he gets great space on the right side to get a 1st and goal, and now Nashville, their first opportunity at a 1st and goal scenario.
Talking about players, that durability, that's something to really, really speak of here. And in these minor leagues, you want to be noticed, and that's one thing you will be noticed for, is you play just as hard from snap 1 of quarter 1 as you do the 4th quarter.
And Younger looking to dive to the end zone and gets stuffed by the Pittsburgh defense. So Nashville will start their 2nd and goal at the goal line. Great defensive work from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a big stop right there. And, these guys, we mentioned, they're pretty good at bend but don't break mentality. They've got a challenge in front of them right here inside the 1-yard line.
And this will prove to be a test for Pittsburgh's defense as they toss it to Younger. Wide open space on the left side, and Younger cashes it in for 6. Just when you think Pittsburgh has the lead, Nashville takes it right back. It's now 9-7 for the hometown tempo.
Which is what we expected, right, Brett? I mean, we talked about that. We knew that this was going to be kind of a back-and-forth game, that each offense was going to be able to show their hand. What is interesting is we have saw it more on the ground than we have through the air for both of these teams thus far. But believe me, I think you're going to see a lot of many different looks out of this offense for both teams today. They're highly talented in that regard.
And we were talking about before kickoff that this might be a huge explosive offensive matchup between these two teams, because just 2 weeks ago they did have themselves a 48-31 thriller that Nashville did end up winning. But now Nashville with a 10-7 lead, at this point you have to think to yourselves, who's going to get the first stop of the game? That's going to be the most critical point. Now 10-7 for Nashville as they kick things off back to Pittsburgh. And once again, kicking it off right to the end zone, but Mawson King decides he's going to run it out. He gets past the 25, looking to stop himself right at the 30-yard line. And King Jackson will get himself back out on the field. And we saw a balance of pass and run, mostly pass down the end of their last scoring drive. Will it be the same on this drive?
I'm really interested to see that as well. And, talking about their last matchup, I just wanted to mention, we talked about this in the pregame. These teams were so close 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter of their previous matchup on December 11th until that 4th quarter when Nashville reeled off 28 points at the end of the 4th quarter to pull away. That's something that Pittsburgh is going to have to focus on stopping this time around, and hopefully that defense can step up and do that.
Yeah, but King Jackson had a nice game as they're going to get a nice run from Bullets on the outside stretch to get a quick first down. You have to remember in that game as well, that 48-31 game from the 11th of December, King Jackson was throwing the rock all over the place. 41 of 53 for 410 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And I think the key there is in this game, he needs to limit the interceptions if he's going to throw the ball that much.
Yeah.
1st and 10 here at around the 41.5-yard line. They've got 3 receivers, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. They are going to move. It looks to be Wheeler to be that offset tight end. Toss play opposite side, 2 bullets, and he's going to get nice space to get 7 yards. He's going to set up a 2nd and 3.
You did a really good job of mentioning there, Brett. A great point. The balance is what is needed for King Jackson to have a big day. Very good at managing the offense when people such as BB Blitz is in the backfield and has a big day as well. That helps him, takes the pressure off him. You don't see the turnovers. And, he's just very good at managing a football game when he has that to run.
Another handoff to Bullets, but this time the defense of Nashville all over that side of the field. Great work from outside linebacker Dallas Knowles. And let's quickly talk about that Nashville defense. Defensive line set up by the 2 ends of Theo Grant Petty, who got the sack earlier, and we've got to mention Connor O'Shaughnessy, number 78, and defensive tackle and Ralph Leonard, 55. Their linebacker core includes King McNeely and Dallas Knowles, the last tackler, along with their safety core of Chris Delro and their corner in Bentley Bonner, as another catch deep down the field. This time it's going to be to Xavier Knight to get Pittsburgh the 1st down.
Yeah, a lot of the talk goes immediately to Timothy Mossam King, but let's remember what Xavier Knight can do as well. A really, really good wide receiver who has certainly had a good season as well, with about 277 yards on the season coming into today's game and 4 touchdowns. So, they don't have to just worry about Mossam King. They got to worry about Knight, who lines up on the other side as well.
Yeah, and Xavier Knight at 6'1", 185, kind of that average receiver that you want as they hand it off to Bullets, but gets stuffed right at the line. No gain for 2nd down.
A good job of that Nashville defense just kind of stepping up there and limiting, what Pittsburgh was able to do. And I think that is a good point to mention right here as well. When they get their backs to the wall and they can't make those 2nd and 3rd and 4th, 3rd and 5s, what kind of playbook where do they have to go in the playbook to convert?
Jackson to step back 5 steps. He's going to dump it off to his check down option, and he did a nice job to get positive momentum, get at least 3 yards to help him out here on now 3rd and 7.
Yeah, it looked like that was going to be disaster for a moment, the way that the defense was, pursuing King Jackson, but a very good job right there, as you said, just getting something out of nothing.
They wanted trips to the right, but now they're going to move Mossam King over to the left to have Evans on the quad set. Jackson with a deep step. They are going to toss it off to Bullets, who sheds off 1 tackle but can't get to the 1st down. And that is a key stop from the Nashville defense to stop them so close inside the red zone. Great work from what looked to be 42 on the tackle to set up a 34-yarder. Now Jackson Arthur with a 34-yard attempt coming up from the right hash. Kick is up, and he sinks it right down Main Street. Ties the game up for Pittsburgh, and they'll gladly take the 3 points.
And that is the 2nd time today that we have seen Nashville be able to come up and make a good stop right there. I'm really interested. The play that happened before that led to that 4th down, really interesting that they chose to do the screen route with Bullets instead of looking towards Mossam King and Knight. Kind of surprised at that option, really.
That might have to be credit taken for the Nashville secondary to have those receivers locked up. And so they had to go with the screen option, as Jordan will start Nashville at the 33-yard line for this drive. And again, another opportunity for Nashville to get themselves the lead once again, maybe for the 3rd time in this contest. But it'll all prove on what Switch Thumper and company are going to do. Does Nashville need to do anything different in their offense, Cameron?
I think right now, just continue, if you're Nashville, to do what's working. You've got fresh legs back there with Ace Ketchum, who has not seen as many reps as we would have expected midway through this 2nd quarter. I think right now continue to pound that run game if it continues to get positive yardage, because then that, the passing game is going to be there eventually. So right now, pretty impressed with what they're doing, if I'm being honest.
First down, they overload the right side and have Ace Ketchum go right up the middle in a misdirect, and he will get 7 yards. You're talking about that fresh legs in Ace Ketchum that hasn't had a lot of touches, and there's a touch that gets 7 yards for Nashville.
Yeah, he really, as we said, we've saw them rely on the fullback Stanley Younger more into this game as it has progressed, though. But you see Ketchum, of course, in the backfield there, and as you said, he is fresh, he's ready to run, and like I said, he's got a lot of great speed and very elusive. So the mix between him and Stanley is a potent combination for anybody.
Another run up the gut, but he decides to kick it to the outside, and what a great decision that is for Ace Ketchum. Can anybody catch up Ketchum? They can, as he gets stopped right at the 30-yard line, and there is the smarts that you see develop from these young rookies. Ace Ketchum instead going inside, going out to get that big gain.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that makes this SFLm so fascinating and for me so much fun and so enjoyable to watch, because you see them develop those instincts, as you said right there, the cutting outside and then just the agility and a lot of the skills that they've continued to hone in on, the stiff arms, the jukes, and a good example right there of putting it all together by Ace Ketchum.
And one play, and Nashville arguably is already inside field goal territory for Takeda Yuki. 1st and 10 for Nashville. They're going to move their tight end over to the right side of the line. Cables McGill moving himself. He's still got 3 receivers, and they have that one offset running back, which they will hand it off to. It is going to be Askew that's going to get himself 6 yards on the quick handoff. And that might prove to be good for Nashville if they continue with those quick handoffs.
Quick handoffs and 3 halfbacks who can really carry the mail. I mean, honestly, that is something that I think has been so impressive with them this season, is each halfback who touches it has been able to really get positive yardage. It's been very, very impressive.
Every possession in this first half so far has resulted in scores. 4 possessions, 4 scores, as Younger will power his way through. He's not the prettiest of speedsters, but he gets the job done. Another tempo first down.
It's that old school football that, you go back and you look at old classic games on YouTube or whatever, and you see it here in the SFL and people like Stanley Younger as well. Just the ground and pound. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. As a football fan, you love seeing it.
And again, you see Younger just push his way forward. This time, another 5 yards brings him to 85 yards. Already his 3rd best rushing game of the season, behind December 1st against Albuquerque and December 8th against Lexington. That Lexington game, his lone 100-plus yard campaign so far at 113, as they hand it off to Ketchum this time. And there you see it, that dual running back set that could really kill you. If you're the defense, you got to worry if you're going to worry about speed and Ketchum or powering Younger.
It's so much fun, and for the folks watching at home, I just want to make mention here. Take a look at it. When Stanley Younger gets the football, it's a rumble, man. He comes off the line just trucking, but then you get Ketchum when he gets the football, and there's just this kind of burst of speed that comes out of him. You can watch his feet and the way it's set. So impressive and fun to watch, really.
And Younger once again pushing himself forward to get another Nashville 1st and goal. 2 straight drives that have now led Nashville to 1st and goal. And now we've hit the 2-minute warning in Nashville, Tennessee. It is a tie game at 10-10, but Nashville's threatening inside the 5. Don't look back. We'll be right back in just a few seconds. 120 seconds left to go in this first half. 10-10 game here in Nashville, Tennessee. The tempo are threatening here at 1st and goal. They're setting up heavy on the left side, but they're going to step back and toss one, and there might have been a little bit of dirty work from the Pittsburgh defense. They're going to call pass interference, and we got a 1st and goal at the goal line.
That's going to be interesting to look at there. I think it's going to be pretty close. And I'm glad we are going to get a chance to take a look at it and see who the culprit is here.
Ooh.
I don't know. I felt like, to me, that hit was delivered pretty fairly, but I believe that the officials saw it otherwise there. That was Mo Jontana that they got on that call.
Yeah, and Thumper was looking for his favorite target in Kenny Hendricks, the guy we've been talking about all throughout this first half so far in the passing offense in Nashville. And now they're going to set themselves up the 1-yard line for 1st and goal, a free 4 yards. I'm going to hand this off to Ketchum, and he tries to push himself forward, but fantastic work from RC Puff on the outside to stop Ketchum at the goal line.
Puff came in like a heat-seeking missile there. I mean, he knew that he had to keep Ketchum out of the end zone any way possible. And look how close they are. It's leaning right up against the goal line.
Heat-seeking missile, I call that a heat-seeking puffball. Second and goal, and Younger's going to rumble himself to the end zone. Nashville scores once again. It's now 16-10 for the Tempo.
And that call right there, that pass interference, that had a little bit of questionable nature to it. Really, that changed the complexion of that drive. Obviously, that got them so close down to the goal line there. They went from having to, we could talk about, maybe coming away with a field goal if Pittsburgh could stop, to putting them in prime real estate to cash in on a touchdown. And Nashville now pulling ahead, and just so impressive what they're able to do today.
Yeah, and they say in football that the goal line is the toughest 6 inches to push forward, but Nashville gets it done in just one play after the penalty and now have a 17-10 lead at home. Liking the game so far? Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There's no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLm action and help the channel grow with your support. As the kick returner gets himself up to the 31-yard line, and it's who else other than the speedster himself and Himothy Mossam King. And Pittsburgh will start themselves at the 31-yard line, and now we'll see this Pittsburgh 2-minute drill offense get to work.
And that's a key point that we talked about. You're going to see King Jackson have to get in a little bit more of an up-tempo rhythm. We talked about how well he is able to manage the game, but you're going to have to pretty much take away the run game, in my opinion, with 1:27 left. You're going to have to be looking downfield, so they're going to have to put that really on his back, make sure he doesn't turn this football over and connects to his all-star wideouts.
And we've only really seen 2 targets from King Jackson so far in terms of those 3 wide receivers. Mossam King has gotten a lot, as well as Xavier Knight, so don't be surprised if we see a target go Eric Duncan's way. First and 10, it's going to be a quick step drop for Jackson. He has to slip out of his pocket. One-handed catch from Keith Wheeler to get the first down, but Pittsburgh will have to call their first timeout to stop the clock.
It was a great play. It really was. And I think at that point, King Jackson taking what the defense allowed him. He saw Keith Wheeler breaking on a route across the field there. A beautiful one-handed reception. The only problem is it is right in the middle of the field there, so they had to go to the timeouts quickly.
Yeah, they can't be too pretty with these catches down the middle of the field because those timeouts can burn really quickly as a pass almost gets into the hands of Eric Duncan, but a nicely timed deflection from the linebacker gets it a 2nd and 10.
I think that a lot of credit needs to go to this Nashville defense for locking down Himothy Mossam King and Xavier Knight for the most part in this first half. It has allowed, really it has made King Jackson have to look in other directions, as we mentioned, Keith Wheeler, Eric Duncan, for example, and kind of disrupted King Jackson just a little bit.
They're going to go with a heavy line set. They want to get both tight ends involved here on 2nd down. They will get it to Wheeler on that catch and run. He gets plenty of space over on the right side, tried to get out of bounds, but doesn't, and Pittsburgh has to use their 2nd timeout as they cross midfield.
Yeah, Keith Wheeler was in kind of a tricky situation there because, you want to stay in bounds, continue to fight for the first down, and then at the same time, you have to try to get back out of bounds to try to stop the clock and preserve a timeout. So really there was no right way for him to go in that one. He did a good job of turning ahead for the first.
But I don't mind that timeout because now they're in enemy territory and they got time to work with Jackson, looking for a short throw back to Wheeler, and that looked to be a slow-motion bullet over to Wheeler as they're going to force their final timeout to be called, and they still have 41 yards to get to the end zone. I'm not sure about that play call.
Nashville came with pressure on that right side there, and I think that Jackson kind of hurried through his progression there, kind of panicked just a little bit and tried to get rid of the football to try to make something happen. And yeah, not the best decision right there, excuse me.
Yeah, and I think just throwing it out of bounds might have worked as well. But now Jackson's going to toss that ball and again finds Wheeler on that crossing route to get himself 8 yards. But now they set himself up in a 3rd and 1, and they have to go hurry up in this last 55 seconds. They're going to drop it off once again for Jackson, trying to find Mossam King on the right side. It does not work, and now it's going to be 4th and 1.
Disruption, complete and total disruption by this Nashville tempo defense. They did a good job of really getting to King Jackson. I think you could see it in about the last 2 or 3 plays there from scrimmage. It got to be that they really turned on the pressure, and then as you mentioned, they had to go hurry up, couldn't snap it. They weren't set. Not a good play call.
Gutsy play call on 4th and 1 from offensive coordinator Gino McFly, as they are going to drop it off and they're going to toss it over to Balitz, who's going to get the first down, but they got to hurry themselves up as the clock keeps tick, 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 now at under 40 seconds left. Jackson to step back once again, has a little bit of time to look through his progressions, finds his receiver over on the right side, and that's Xavier Knight. That's going to get themselves inside the 10-yard line, and everyone's got to hurry up here, now down to 25 seconds to go. And they're going to quickly spike the ball so they get themselves a little bit of a rest and maybe a change of formation for 2nd and goal.
A good decision and really great resiliency right there on Pittsburgh's part for being able to bounce back. They had a couple of rough plays, as we mentioned there. They kind of got them mired in short yardage and losing some timeouts, but they did a nice job rebounding, and now they've got a good chance at punching it in.
2nd and goal at the 9-yard line. 22 seconds left in the 2nd quarter. Pittsburgh wants to tie this game up before they head to the locker rooms. It's going to be a drop back for Jackson. Once again, it's been all pass intercepted! Oh. And look at the space on the left side, and they're going to move themselves a little bit forward, and there is the first mistake from King Jackson, a toss to the end zone in double coverage.
I do believe that for one, take a look at how Will Garnes kind of blends in right here with the coverage. He looked like a slithering snake back there. I mean, the way he just kind of prowled around the goal line, and then he was reading King Jackson's eyes the entire way. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with it. And, yeah, we talked about being protective with that football there. They just lured him into an interception, and man, that's going to be a tough one to swallow for Pittsburgh.
The first non-scoring drive of this game results in Pittsburgh throwing an interception in the end zone. And now Nashville, 16 seconds left at the 17-yard line. I think they're content with a 7-point lead heading into halftime, but all depend on this one play. Play clock down to 2. They will toss it off to Ace Ketchum. It was a nice entourage on the right side and will get a yard, or 9 yards, I should say, a yard away from the first down. But that looks to be the last play of the second half, as Nashville will have themselves a 7-point lead heading into halftime. Nashville 17, Pittsburgh 10 in a wild first half matchup where it felt like both these teams couldn't stop scoring. Cameron, tell us all about the first half.
It's been very exciting and honestly kind of reminiscent of the first time that these two teams met back on December the 11th. When you take a look at how they were able to stay kind of stride for stride. Interesting point to note, when they went to the half of that game, Brett, the score 17-10. It was in favor of Pittsburgh at that point in time. This time Nashville has the upper hand, so kind of interesting. Kind of tells you how this game is playing out. Both these teams come out very hot when they play each other. We saw great offensive performances early on by both of these teams, and in the end, we come right back to the very last drive of the half there with Pittsburgh threatening, and then that Nashville defense coming up with a big time stop. Right now for Nashville, I think you're in the driver's seat. Continue to smash, ground and pound if it's working, and Pittsburgh can't stop it. No need to go away from folks such as Stanley Younger and Ace Ketchum. But if you are Pittsburgh, you are going to have to continue to utilize BB bullets, but then also for King Jackson, protect that football because you're going to be asked to go deep. Try to find those receivers. Yeah,
that's the big thing for King Jackson. This second half, I think he needs to be clean as clean as you can get, like a 6-year-old, but being told by his mother to clean his room. You've got to clean up your act, as Pittsburgh will get first possession here on this third quarter, and there we go. 17-10 Nashville to start off this third quarter, as Xavier Knight will get the return all the way up to the 33-yard line. And now a second chance to tie up this game does the Riverhogs have, and will they go to BB Bullets, or will they continue in the confidence of King Jackson?
Yeah, I think you got to rely on bullets for a while, just because that seems to be, as we said, managing the game is where Jackson seems to do his best work.
Yeah, that's the big thing. If they can start off that run game quick, it'll ease up that pressure that Jackson will have being down 7, and he's going to toss it off first play, and Keith Wheeler has been his favorite target so far in this game to get receptions, and that's going to be 9.9999999 yards for second and inches.
Just as close as you can get. Nevertheless, you can kind of expect to see what they're going to do here, and pound that football with bullets is what I say.
Yeah, I think with this lineup here, I think there's going to be a power up, and they decide to go that way, and Bullets just narrowly gets the first down. They're going to award it to Bullets on that 0.0001 yard gain.
It's kind of interesting, they don't really work out of a fullback position very much. You see them primarily go with Bullets, and he kind of had to be the ground and pound there on that play.
Right side rollout finds Mossam King on the right side just before he gets hit, and another 8-yard gain. And again, if you get the catch after your quarterback gets hit, it just gains that confidence from the receivers and to Jackson.
Exactly. A really nice, comfortable throw right there with a great little completion. Those are the things that will, again, get Jackson more comfortable after that turnover. Should calm him down a little bit.
Another heavy set for Pittsburgh, and Bullets is going to use his offensive lineman, I think that was the fullback, to help him move himself forward, and it pays dividends. First down for Pittsburgh.
That was pretty impressive. We've saw a couple of times during the season where that move right there doesn't go anywhere, and they're just kind of logged behind, a lineman. But a really nice job right there of clearing the way by Pittsburgh.
Quick step drop for Jackson, finds Mossam King, and now Pittsburgh's passing game starting to roll here. They're finding their corners of the sidelines. They're finding the middle of the field where it's working for them, and it's resulting in multiple first downs.
They gave Mossam King a lot of room right there. As you could see, Bentley Bonner went, dropped back a good 5 yards or so and allowed Mossam King to have that corner route. So really kind of surprising. We saw them play him pretty close during today's game, but it wasn't the case on that last play.
Yeah, it almost feels like in that play, Nashville was ready for a big money deep pass from Jackson, but it never came. And it just went to a short pass to Mossam King, and it resulted in the first down. Speaking of Mossam King, he's going to move over to the left side on the split back formations, but it's going to be a 5-step drop for Jackson as he dumps it off to his check down, and he's going to get some decent space. They're going to give him 5 yards on the gain, second down and 5.
Not to reiterate, but, we talked about that early on in this game and about the first quarter or so. You and I were talking about how important positive yardage is for Jackson and for what this Pittsburgh offense wants to do. So, a 4 or 5 yard gain, that's really good because that sets you up to a part of the playbook that you can really work well from.
Yeah, and I've been saying this since I started broadcasting. If you can open up your playbook, it makes it so much easier for you. 2nd and 5, you're going to hand it off to Bullets, who goes right and gets met by a bevy of Nashville defenders, and the man who just had that interception earlier in Garner, I think it was, that will get the tackle for 3rd and 4.
And this is the part of the field where we have saw Nashville be really impressive and able to really stop Pittsburgh what they're doing. Right around this red zone area between the 20 and 30, they begin to really stiffen up and make things difficult.
Big 3rd down. Nashville brings 6 to the line, but it's almost caught on the right side. It looked to be Mossam King once again, but that hit might have jarred the ball loose, and it will end this drive on a field goal attempt, this time from Jackson Arthur.
Yeah, the cornerback just came in, flying into the picture there to knock that one loose from Mossam King. What a big-time play right there.
Arthur kicks this ball up from 42 and nails it off the right side of the goal post, and Pittsburgh will get some points out of this now, 17-13 in favor of the Tempo. Have you ever wanted to be a play-by-play or analyst broadcaster? We are looking for passionate SFL participants or viewers like you. Yes, I'm looking at you, Danny Carmichael. I'm looking at you, Switch Thumper. Like you to join this team for this minor league and this next major league season. Please visit simulationfl.net/broadcasting for more details on how you can get involved and get your voice on the call. And I bet James Walters has one of the most glorious voices out there that we don't know about. Kick return up to the 25 as he tries to mosey his way on forward, up to the 27, and now Nashville has the cards in their hand with the lead. They can choose to dictate how the rest of this game is going to play out.
They can, and of course, leading really is one of the. We talk about the perks of leading, obviously, and I don't mean this to sound like a kind of a dust statement here, but it really does allow you to control a little bit more what you want to do, what part of the playbook you want to go to. And I'm just going to say it right here: if it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep running that football. Pittsburgh has not really been able to stop that yet.
Quick pass off. They're going to send it to Elliott Pope Jr., and he manages to have the wherewithal to catch it. I don't think Pope Jr. was quite ready for it, but he still manages to get 7 yards to start off this Nashville drive.
I don't know how he come up with that reception. I would love to see a replay of that. I mean, I didn't think that was even possible, so a good job by Elliott Pope there to reel that one in.
Second down, they are going to hand this ball off to Ketchum. And again, we haven't given enough credit to this offensive line in Nashville, but they're doing fantastic work in getting these running backs easy work sometimes, especially on this play for Ketchum to get the first down.
Yeah, definitely. And, I still think, Ketchum has 82 yards. I still think he's yet to break his big run of the game. You know what I mean? I think it's coming here.
Toss play over to Ketchum, and then Pittsburgh defense finds a way to stuff that right side of the field. J.C. Wallace with the final tackle to only get 1 yard.
It's so interesting. It really is, watching this Nashville team that both these teams are so impressive. I think for Nashville's strong suit here, it's just the mix of run and pass that they are so able to do so efficiently. It makes them a lot of fun to watch, but hard to defend against.
Thumper to step back, and he doesn't have enough time to get that ball off. Bubba Bruiser gets the Thumper, and that is Pittsburgh's first sack of the game.
There is a name that we have heard of a lot this season, and that is Bubba Bruiser, coming into today's game with 3.5 sacks on this season, and that's really a testament to just how good he has been. Watch him just kind of throw around the offensive line there to get to switch Thumper. That was a big-time play. The Pittsburgh defense really needed one, too, right then.
And here's a first for Nashville, 3rd and 14. We've not seen that yet, and they're going to go deep pass, I think. Thumper looking to scramble around, has space. He's going to scramble it, and he's going to get the first down. Amazing awareness from Switch Thumper to scramble when his receivers weren't open and find the open space for the first down.
Pittsburgh got so distracted trying to make sure that Easton King and Kenny, they were trying to make sure that those wide receivers were completely locked down, that what they did, they gave up the entire middle of the field, and they forgot, hey, Switch Thumper can run the ball too. And he did a fantastic job right there. Would not be denied.
Danny Carmichael, you are excused. Switch Thumper did just run the ball for a 15-yard first down play. Now they're going to hand it off to Ketchum, who's going to push himself forward for another first down. And you said it, partner, this run game has been ever effective. Why stop now?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't, because as good of a game that Pittsburgh has played, and they have played a really good game to this point. I mean, 17 points on, allowed right here. It's not a bad stat at all, considering how good Nashville is, but still not able to lock down on this run game just yet. That's the one thing they've yet to be able to do here.
Yeah, they just need to. Pittsburgh needs to find a way to shore up that run defense to really stop Nashville, because they had them on the ropes on 3rd and 14. But
yes.
What happens? A 14-yard run. Handoff, this time to Stanley Younger. We haven't seen him on this drive yet, and he's going to bruise himself forward 4-6 yards. And again, we talk about those 4, 5, 6-yard plays that open up for second down. You got to love it if you're a Nashville fan.
Absolutely. Chipping away, but you know just how valuable they are. And gosh, not to brag too much, but I love the play scheme in tonight's game. You give Ketchum some time, then you go back to Younger, keeping a fresh set of legs every 2, 3, 4 plays. It's brilliant right now.
And we're going to see that a lot in the SFL major leagues now with the most recent rule changes. We're going to see multiple running backs. We're going to see multiple fullbacks on certain teams as well. Younger gets another decent chunk of yards, 3rd and 1 now for Nashville. And like I said, multiple running backs. This is basically an example of what you're going to see in the major leagues, especially for those juggernaut squads. Like teams like Portland, who have 2 great running backs in Ezekiel Love and Scott Johnson, as Ace Ketchum gets himself another first down. Again, this running game has been paying dividends for Nashville. and they're just going to continue to eat up that defense.
Exactly, and what it is doing, as you mentioned, it's wearing this defense out, and by continuously cycling in, those different running backs, it's hard for the defense to hone in on any one halfback, and there's always somebody well rested in there too.
Catch him trying to stretch out after the handoff, trying to get that big run that he had earlier in the first half, and it did not pay off as well. He still gets 3 yards, but it doesn't get that 20-yard gain that he had earlier.
No, it certainly didn't. Like you said, the 3 yards, that's important. But at that point there, Pittsburgh did a good job of kind of slowing things down, and that's what they need to do. They need to slow this Nashville tempo down.
And what a way to slow things down by going with your bruiser in Stanley Young, or you might as well call him the bruiser, as he pushes himself forward for a first down. And again, that dual running back set has really made Pittsburgh pay throughout this game.
Yeah, it has been the quintessential key element to what they have wanted to do on offense today. And again, let's give a call to this offensive line because, yeah, Younger is certainly putting in the work as well as Ketchum, but they have been provided multiple running lanes. That has been so impressive to watch them just manhandle the trenches.
Also give credit to their offense coordinator, Jay Ballmer, in setting up that offense as well into success too, as now we tick under 2 minutes into the third quarter. They're going to move Easton King over the left side to balance out the play set. They're going to step it back, play. Oh, that's a fake, but he doesn't get the ball off. And Pittsburgh's defensive line gets to Thumper one more time. Second sack of the game for the Riverhawks defense.
Well, he got pancaked, and right there he thought he had more time with that little punt, that little play fake right there, and decided to bring it back down and see if he could take another shot downfield. Didn't even feel the pressure coming around the edge, and he got walloped.
And honestly, that was a pretty ill-advised pump fake, if I say so myself. You're faking a pass off your back foot. It just doesn't look good. It's maybe a quick step over, almost into the hands of the Pittsburgh defender. That Pittsburgh secondary was ready for the quick pass and almost got their hands on the football. And now it's third, and the distance between Pittsburgh and Nashville locally.
Yeah. What a difference one play can make. They were completely humming, moving down the field at ease. Then you had that ill-advised pump fake, results in a sack. The next play, an almost interception. They're out of their rhythm just like that. And now, big-time stop coming up here if Pittsburgh can get off the field.
Quick drop from Thumper. He has to step out of the pocket to find his open man. Does he get to it in triple coverage? No, he does not. Elliott Pope Jr. was the man in target, and there was 2 and 3 men in pursuit of the football as Rochelle Colston gets a $2 super chat in there to get your support in and smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic contest in the Season 8 Consolation Final between the Pittsburgh Riverhawks and the Nashville Tempo, as Nashville has a 38-yard attempt coming from Takeda Yuki. Off the left hash, snap is good, set, and that's baby's gonna curl himself in, and Nashville restores their 7-point lead, now 20-13. 2013, not a bad year in my personal opinion there, but Nashville will carry this 7-point lead, and they'll gladly take the 3 points.
Yeah, a great job right there by Takeda Yuki, of course, but I will also say this. If Pittsburgh is able to claw their way back into this game, that pump fake that turned into the sack is going to be looked at hugely here, especially if something were to happen down the stretch, not in Nashville's favor. Keep an eye on that. That was a really turning point on that drive.
Yeah, a big turning point that's basically stopped 6 points on the board from Nashville and turned into 3, as Knight will get himself to the 32-yard line to start the Pittsburgh offense. But Pittsburgh still has to score a touchdown and an extra point just to tie this game, so it's still a pretty clutch field goal from Takeda Yuki and this Nashville special teams unit. Now it's up to Pittsburgh to get down the field and get that touchdown. 1st and 10, split backs formation. They got 3 receivers. They're going to hand this ball off to Bullets, and great work to open up the gap down the middle and get Bullets 8 yards to start off their drive.
Yeah, 8 yards right off the bat. That's fantastic, really is. Now, what is interesting is that Pittsburgh defense, that stop really amped up this Pittsburgh offense. So, how are they going to come back after the nice stop there that relegated them to just 3 points? Are they going to come out more aggressive here? I'm really interested to see if we see any changes as we near the end of this third.
Once again, another handoff to Bullets. He will get the first down, and he will drag a defender down to get an extra 2 yards and try to move this Pittsburgh offense a little bit more forward as we tick to under 40 seconds left in this third stanza.
And really, you couldn't ask for any more of a better game. This had a little bit of everything in it up to this point, and we still aren't over yet.
It's a great balance offensively for these two teams. It's just Nashville has the edge so far. That's another great run from another running back. It wasn't Bullets this time. It was one of the reserve running backs to get in to get 8 yards. And this potentially is the last play of the third quarter as the clock slowly ticks down, and they're not going to set things up here. Triple zeros here in the third. Nashville sustains their 7-point lead, but it's now 20-13 in favor of the Tempo. Can Pittsburgh come back in this game? We'll find out in just a few seconds. Put up your 4s, your 12s, your 86s, and your 68s in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth quarter action about to begin in Nashville, Tennessee. 20-13 is the scoreline in favor of the Tempo as Pittsburgh is driving down the field here on 2nd and 2. Heavy set look. They got the one receiver out to the left. They will hand this off to Bullets, who will find a line to follow to get a first down, and that is big for this Pittsburgh offense to continue to move the chains.
I like what they have done with BB Bullets in the manner which they've stretched him out to the left and to the right. He does very good up the middle, of course, but man, he's got that little extra juice when he gets out around the edge that makes him a little bit harder to bring down. Very potentially could break out a big play here.
Jackson step back on first down, and he gets sacked from the blind side. Those edge rushers coming in tough from Nashville, and Dallas Knowles, the outside linebacker, will get credit for the sack.
Yeah, 6'4", and he laid all 257 pounds down right there on the quarterback, and that. Here's what's interesting. We talked about the negative yardage that they try to stay away from. They are pretty much now in a go deep set here, something they don't want to have forced their hand at.
But we've seen scenarios like this where they have turned negative yardage into something positive, and that is what they do here. Bring it back to neutral ground for this 3rd and 7. It's not quite a first down, but they're going to take half the distance down to the first down line.
And I like that. You're exactly right, Brett. What I liked about that play call was instead of feeling like they had to go for the home run in response, they took a nice, modest gain right there, and now sets up a manageable 3rd down.
Trips bunch tight on the left side. Focus on Mossam King. He is the lead receiver. As Jackson steps back to throw, his pocket collapsed and tried to move around, slings the rock, and it's in and out of the hands of Eric Duncan. I believe that's only been his 2nd target of this game, so maybe a little bit too much popcorn on the sidelines has led to an incomplete pass.
Well, let's give a call to King Jackson, because he did everything he could to make sure that play developed to where he could find Duncan right down the field. Unfortunately, Duncan just couldn't bring it in, and man, that's a heartbreaker. That had the makings of a big game changer for Pittsburgh.
And just the 2nd drive for Pittsburgh that ends in 0 points. Remember, their other 0-point drive was that end zone interception. Pittsburgh did a good job to get down the field, but they were eventually stifled by a very much improved Nashville defense. And now Nashville gets a fair catch on the 17-yard line, and Switch Thumper and company now can use as much time as they want to go down 83 yards to the end zone if they choose to. You can see another heavy line, and you'd like to think it was going to be passed, but they're going to roll out, and it's going to be caught one-handed. And I believe, yes, that is Kenny Hendricks once again. If you need a clutch receiver from Nashville, Hendricks is your man.
Yeah, Hendricks is the guy. And, this is an important part, to mention here. I know that we're still looking at about 8 minutes or so left to go in this ball game, but with this Nashville offense, if they're in the driver's seat, they can take a huge chunk of time off here if Pittsburgh can't slow them down. I mean, you see what that rushing attack has been able to do all day. Most of their drives have taken 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you know what? Time is of the essence right now if you're Pittsburgh. Got to get them off the
Yeah,
field.
you have to think Nashville's goal is to at least get a field goal to make it a two-possession lead as Pittsburgh brings in the
Oh,
pressure, and it led to an interception, and there's the lifeline that Pittsburgh have wanted all game. The pressure led to an ill-advised throw from Switch Thumper and led to Mo Tana to get the interception.
well, yeah. Switch Thumper just really gifted them a late Christmas present. I don't really understand why the aggressive play nature was taking place at that point in time, that side of the field, and at this point in the game, I really expected a heavy barrage of run, but nevertheless, they go to the air, and Pittsburgh now is in business, folks.
Some people want a $100 gift card to Walmart. The other people, they just want an interception, just like Mo Tana. Pittsburgh in great field position, starting at the 25, but they're going to get stopped at the line. Dallas Knowles making himself involved early in this drive, saying to BB Bullets, "You're not going to get a yard from me, son."
Yeah, well, Knowles knows that it's going to be very important for this defense to come up here and make a stop. If they can just relegate them to a field goal attempt, that would be crucial right now.
Second down, it's going to be a quick drop for Jackson, and it's
Oh,
going to be another flag up, and I think, again, it's going to be pass interference, and it's going to be a free first down for the Riverhogs.
yep, got a little bit eager right there and kind of rushed inside there and stuck his hands where it didn't belong. And that's big because had they been able to have avoided that penalty, you would have had them looking at a third down situation. Instead, here, fresh set of down.
It's a fresh set of downs practically at the outskirts of the red zone. They're going to officially mark it at the red zone marker, the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Riverhogs. We're looking to tie this game up after a Mo Tana interception with just under 8 minutes to go. They're going to move Xavier Knight over to the slot side on the left. They still have their split backs formation. That is Bullets on the left side of that split backs. Jackson throws it deep and finds Timothy Mossam King at the 5-yard line. And again, 6'6" to 6'6", and it pays off for the Riverhogs.
When you leave a team like Pittsburgh with receivers like Timothy Mossam King in this game, just like that interception did, eventually, they're going to bite you. And that's exactly what happened right there. Now 1st and goal, and they got a great backfield here. Just expect them, I think, to try to power it in on this play for sure.
Yeah, keep your eyes on BB Bullets here. 1st and goal, he gets the handoff, and again, Dallas Knowles has him eye-line like a hawk. No gain.
Yeah, Knowles got him again there. He's come to life here this second half and been a lot of fun to watch. But when you talk about a little bit of anxiety and nervousness there on both sides of the ball, you bet the emotions are running high right now.
Yeah, if you're a Pittsburgh fan and you still have nails in your fingers, how? This has been nail-biting from start to finish for these boys. Another handoff to Bullets, and he gets stuffed by a two-man pairing on the Nashville defense. Looked to be Chris Delro amongst that pair to stop Bullets at the 3-yard line.
Oh, man, and 3rd and goal here. Brett, what do you do? They're expecting run. They've stuffed it out. Do you continue with run, or do you try to draw up something a little different? I don't know what you do here. I'm just excited to see the outcome.
and another question you have to ask Pittsburgh in the back of their heads, is this 4-down territory? As the fumbles on the back of the throw, and he's got plenty of space to run. He's got plenty, but he doesn't have the legs to get to it. But a key fumble made by Ralph Leopold will send Nashville to the 35-yard line. What a hit.
What an incredible series of events, unfortunate events for Pittsburgh.
Oh,
man, and that young man came in absolutely unguarded, that Ralph Leopold we're talking about, unguarded, and laid the hit of his life on the quarterback there, King Jackson. And we've got a challenge on
now
that.
Here comes an interesting call here from the Pittsburgh coaching staff. J.W. Hartshorn throws it, and it's challenging where the ball was in King Jackson's hands before they call it a fumble. That is what we're going to see the replay here. Let's take a retroactive look, brought to you by Retroid, and that's going to be tough to call.
Tough to call, tough to overturn. And the whole reason for doing this, in my opinion, is so, it's an incompletion. If you can get them on the goal line, much better than having them turn up field and run. But I don't think you're going to get that.
And the ruling on the field will stand. So they're going to, Pittsburgh losing a very crucial timeout for them here. And by the way, get your SFL console at goretroid.com. I forgot to mention that on this little ad space. I gotta get better with that. Cam, you can slap it on a fine in my broadcaster pay with that. Nonetheless, 1st and 10 for Nashville. Huge momentum swinger after the forced fumble. Split backs formation again, twins to the left. They're going to drop back to throw again, but they're going to just dump it off to Younger, and you can see the power coming from Younger. He sheds a second tackle and gets out of bounds, but not before he gets 9 yards on that interesting play, nonetheless.
Yeah, and talking about the Retroid there, Brad, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, the last broadcast that we did, you mentioned that was my Christmas present coming up. I assume it's just got lost in the mail and it will make its way to me eventually.
Yeah, last time I checked in the shipping track, it found its way to Australia, so I would ask Jacob Clear about that. Fumble on the field! Another fumble, but it is recovered by Cables McGill right at the line of scrimmage, so it's going to be a 3rd and inches for Nashville. Take a breath, Nashville fans. Stanley Younger almost got a fumble going Pittsburgh's way.
Oh, man, well, they're getting sloppy a little bit here with the football this second half. We've certainly seen the turnovers, and now a big play. You've got a second chance here, Nashville, to make good on this drive. Let's see what you can do.
It's a lone downside. Having a ground and pound style of football is always that risk of having a fumble occur, and Younger almost had to breathe a sigh of relief when Cables McGill got to it. They're going to hand it off one more time to Younger and whine on 3rd and inches. He's going to find his way past the first down marker, and now Nashville can truly breathe a sigh of relief. 1st and 10.
Indeed, a big-time play, and Stanley Younger just doing what Stanley Younger does, coming up in the clutch when needed to. And that was big right there. Extends this drive, clock keeps running.
Yeah, and that's the key here. Clock continues to run, and they're going to trust on the bruiser. Stanley Younger gets another 6 yards as he pushes Nashville forward bit by bit, and I don't think the tempo staff mind.
Certainly not at all. This is the perfect tempo that they want to see right now.
Boo. No, I'm kidding. I've made worse already tonight here. You deserve one. It wasn't too bad. 2nd and 4. Look at the line set up for Nashville. This screams run to me, and they will run it to Younger as he tries to push forward. And again, it's going to be a 3rd down. This time it's going to be 3rd and 2 as Younger will get them another 2 yards.
Yeah, big, important 2 yards. But now if you're Pittsburgh, this is your chance. This may be your last opportunity, really, to get a stop with a lot of time left here on the clock to work with. So if you're this Pittsburgh defense, crowd that line, man, and try to stuff them just as good as you can.
If not the last opportunity, you don't have very many left in this game as we now go under 4 minutes in this 4th quarter. Stretch handoff to Younger, and that is easy as you do it. Another 1st down for Nashville, and they get inside the 35-yard line.
They kind of faked the blitz there. If you notice, Pittsburgh looked like they were showing pressure at the last minute. They ended up really not bringing it, and instead it was, again, that Nashville offensive line that continued to dominate the trenches, opening up good lanes for Stanley Younger.
Yeah, and that's what they want, is they want to open those lanes to get Stanley, to get Ace those big touches so they can get themselves more than just a yard or stopped at the line. They want to move this ball forward. They want to keep this clock ticking. And again, another heavy set. They move their 2 tight ends to the left. But they're going to move their furthest left over to the slot on the right. Play clock down to 6 here on 1st down. Down to 2, and they will toss the ball off. And it's not Ketchum, and it's not Younger. And that might be the result of that is going to be no gain whatsoever. Great work from Pittsburgh's defense to see that toss play conspire.
Yeah, they tried. Yeah, they tried do a little something different there with the kick out there, running left, and kind of strung that play out a little too long. And of course, what happened there? You've seen the big stop and kind of a wasted down for Nashville there to try to get some positive yardage.
2nd and 10 now for the Tempo. Momentum fully on their side after the fumble. They've now flipped the field and have really shed a lot of clock as we're now at 2.5 left in this game. And they're really chewing up the game clock as they're going to hand it off to another. It's a different running back. I believe that's the 4th different running back that we've seen in this game get involved.
Well, I tell you what, honestly, Brett, right here, I think you need ace catch on me. Excuse me. You need 7 yards, and while it's good to have that ground and pound of Stanley Younger, I think you need a little finesse and a little bit of speed coming off this line right here. They'll let it go to the 2-minute warning, but I think, if I'm them anyway, I think you want to run the ball and see what you can do to catch them.
2 minutes to go here in this 4th quarter. Close 7-point game, but Nashville has possession on 3rd and 7. Can they deliver for these hometown fans to get a rematch on January 1st against Chicago? We'll see in about 120 seconds.
Or they could go past here. Yeah, sorry.
They could go past. They could go past here. They got 3 receivers out. 2-minute warning. Nashville has the leads, 20-13. But they're going to hand it off. It's going to be to Ace Ketchum, and is going to be close, but doesn't get it.
Yeah. Wow. You know, you go back to that play, that 1st and 10, where they did the little trickery and tried to run it around the outside there and got stopped for a no gain. And really what that did and how that changed things here for Nashville.
Yeah, but Takeda Yuki will get himself another field goal opportunity to extend this lead to 10. Kick is up, and it is wide right. Lifeline for Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh is literally hanging on by a thread, by the skin of their teeth, whatever phrase you want to use. Living on a prayer. It's really, Pittsburgh really didn't, I don't think anyway, would have expected to have had an opportunity with the way, again, that drive was going. But you go back to the questionable play call there, still trying to run the clock out and run the ball as they were. But in the end, they used the reserve player. It just didn't work, and Pittsburgh took full advantage of it. Now, can they take full advantage on offense?
And that might be because of that kick starting from the left hash. He had to go left to right, and he goes wide right. And now Pittsburgh with an opportunity to tie the game for the 4th time. And Jackson almost throws an interception again, going into double coverage. But you have to understand, from Jackson's standpoint, this is the ball game. This is the season for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It is. It is the season. Everything goes to this. But now, if you're King Jackson, stop, take a deep breath, stay calm. You've got the receivers to pull this drive off. Just don't do anything silly here.
Yeah, and they're playing really against fate at this point. Just one timeout to use. They will dump it off to BB Bullets for a 3-yard gain, and indeed, they will use their final timeout. And now the clock is not on their side.
It's not on their side, but I have to say, I think something that could be advantageous to Pittsburgh is that no huddle, which we've seen them do at the end of the first half, at the end of the 2nd quarter. If you remember, they were in prime position right there to run or at least move into the end zone there before they threw that interception.
Yeah.
That could work out well for them if they get some ground here.
And Jackson finds his receiver down the middle of the field.
Here we go.
That is going to be Eric Duncan, his first catch of the game. And what a time to get your catch. They're going to hurry up. I like this formation with the trips bunch. They're going to toss it out to Mossam King on the right side, and he gets pushed out of bounds, and it stops the clock at 1:23.
Now, do you see what that does right there? When they are pressured, when their back is against the wall, and they have to go hurry up, quick tempo, it makes a big difference. For one, they have a little bit more space to get those receivers out there in the flats and get open. And what this does is that confuses Nashville, because they've had them read pretty well throughout this game. But then you pick up that quick tempo, not as easy to get back in place.
Yeah, and the most important thing, they maybe shed 12 seconds off the clock and practically flip the field. They're almost at the 30-yard line with just $1:23 left to go. Jackson toss things back, finds Mossam King once again, gets pushed back. He does get out of bounds, and it is a 4-yard gain. It does stop the clock again at 1:18.
How huge was that Mossam King didn't take the tackle and was able to work out of it and get to the sidelines there out of bounds? That was huge.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh is going to need that veteran presence from the offense to step up. Guys like Mossam King, who played for Vancouver this past season. Guys like Keith Wheeler, who played for Denver. Those are the guys you need to rely on here. 2nd and 6. They're going to shift Xavier Knight over to the slot side on the left. Play clock down to 7. They will snap it. 5-step drop for Jackson. Toss it down the middle. Trying to find Knight, but there was a bevy of Pittsburgh and Nashville players. A Nashville defender gets his hands on it. 3rd and 6.
Yeah, a really nice job right there. Like you said, they were looking for Knight, but a good job of swarming by this Nashville defense. Now, again, this is the part of the field where Pittsburgh has struggled converting. Nashville has done a good job of locking them down right about this same spot.
3rd and 6. They got 3 receivers to the right. They're going to dump this ball off to Blitz. It's a smart play, and he's just going to get the 1st down and step out of bounds with a nice amount of time remaining left in this game.
Oh, that couldn't have been drawn up any better. The pressure came from the left side. They flipped it to the right, just with a nice screen set up there for BB Blitz and let him do the rest. A really nice job and a really nice awareness there by King Jackson also.
Yeah, perfect timing for Pittsburgh to get out of bounds. They're utilizing the sideline so well on this 2-minute drill. 1st and 10, Jackson. Just toss things off, and it's intercepted. That could be it for Pittsburgh, and this might send Nashville back to Chicago for potential redemption.
Yeah, I think the tempo is going to go to Sweet Home Chicago with that play right there by Bonner. Take a look at this once more. Bentley, Bonner, a good job. Again, this is the exact same play. I believe the same motion, the same play design that actually bit Pittsburgh on this same side of the field. If you remember, we talked about it at the end of the 2nd quarter. They were moving down the field once more. They got down here and threw a costly interception. The same thing happened again, and Nashville is going to catch a big break with big help by their defense.
The shortest contracted defensive player on the Nashville roster, 5'11", Bentley Bonner, seals it for Nashville to set up a date with destiny against Chicago on January 1st. We saw them just a few weeks back play a fantastic game in Chicago, but lose 38-34. It is true redemption time for these boys. And speaking of what's moving forward, the SFL rookie draft is here starting tomorrow night at 8 Eastern with the first 2 rounds, and wraps up with round 3 Saturday at noon Eastern. And then the SFLm championship goes to Chicago against these Nashville Tempo to start the new year, January 1, day 1-ish at 8 Eastern. And don't miss the mega season preview show opening week with team and player breakdowns, predictions, and more. It is all right here on SFL YouTube. As the clock goes to 000, celebrations amongst the stands for Nashville. They've got themselves a rematch with Chicago. 20-13 is your final score. Cameron, break everything down for me, brother.
Yeah, just exactly the game that we wanted to see. So exciting. We saw, a lot of offensive output to begin the game, and then the defense clamped down starting in the second half there. As you can see, 6 points scored by, a combination there of the two teams during that second half. And in the end, as we talked about all that offense, it was defense that reigned king as they got King Jackson on 2 very crucial interceptions in this game that really made all the difference. A fantastic job, really a great effort by both teams, that they played hard. But I'm going to tell you, this Nashville team and the way, look at that, Stanley Younger, 135 yards, Ace Ketchum, 105 yards. They could not stop the run today, and in the end, that really was what made the difference. It allowed Nashville to pull away and stay there with a little help from their defense as well at just the right time.
Yeah, and it was very much a polar opposite of what Younger and Ketchum had against Nashville. They ate up the Pittsburgh defense here, and it paid off as only 6 points were scored in the second half. So that big 2-touchdown second quarter for Nashville was the difference at the end of the day, and that'll mark us for the end of tonight. Final score in Nashville is 20-13 over the Pittsburgh Riverhogs. They will meet Chicago and the Warriors in potentially a 2-game matchup. If Nashville can beat Chicago, they will go back to Nashville and play them one more time for the SFLm championship. But we don't know quite yet what the outcome is going to be come January 1. On behalf of Cameron Duty and my producer extraordinaire, Cameron Irvine, my name is Brett Sahlberg, and I wish you all a very happy Bidoo.